everybody, and welcome to the show. If you're wondering why this show is different, this is Mark. Mark, say hey to the people.
Hey, people.
Hey, people. So the funny thing about Mark and I, we recorded before, and I'm talking to the people out there, Mark.
I know.
Okay. So we recorded before, but due to technological non-advances or whatever, we just couldn't get it to work.
Yeah.
So we had to go to another platform. So for the people who are wondering, well, how come the intro was different, all this kind of stuff, it's because last time I was going to have to fly the intro in, and he didn't get to see any, Mark, you didn't get to see any of it.
No, I didn't. I'm glad I did, though.
Yeah.
Well, that's one penny of technological mishaps I get to saw. All right, I don't care if the show's any good. I got to saw the intro. That's good.
Right. It's awesome. So Mark, you know the show, and thank you so much for being here. One of the things that is so awesome about having you here is you have so many things going on. You had so many different lanes that you traveled in your life, getting to and fro where you decided to land. But you also have your own podcast, and you encourage people to be their best selves now over there on markbentcover.com and release your Kraken. Just what is release the Kraken? Let's start there. So
see the shirt. It's creative Kraken. I don't know if you can see the Kraken part.
Yeah, I think the creative Kraken, the whole merch thing. So we're plugging merch here today.
Yeah. So that's just I don't know. I came up with it, but I got this logo. My friends at Inky Black helped me design this. Inky Black Design. So, but I just like the idea of a Kraken. And for those that don't know, who think it came from Greek and Roman, au contraire, Kraken actually comes from Norwegian things and sailors when they wouldn't come back. So it started off as a giant octopus, and then in the future they mistranslated the squid. So I think the original was octopus. Anyways, octopus, Kraken, Norwegian. So I think in each of us we have creativity, and I just happen to call the creative force a creative Kraken. Because if you know the legend of the Kraken, it kind of lies underwater and only comes out when disturbed or prompted by something. So I think that's true of all our creativity. And when I say creativity, I think people can be creative no matter what they're doing, whether they're an auditor, an accountant, a doctor, a nurse, and then the usual suspects, writer, actor, composer. You know, we always think of the arts as creative. You can be creative anything. Yeah. And a human, you're creative with your podcast. And so I think everybody has that in them. And it's only when they release that and are expressing creative and exercising the creative force that they get in the flow. And that, to me, being in the flow is the most fulfilling time. That's when you're really alive. And then also, I mean, whatever religious bent you have or whatever, and I consider like scientists, their religion is just science, but so they can act in creativity and live a rich and fulfilled life only through that process. So I want all people to have that. So.
But that's important, you know, and I'm glad that I'm glad that you opened up like the umbrella of what creative is, because you're right. A lot of times somebody says, hey, something creative, and you think they're a painter, they're a writer.
Right.
Artist, they're you know, but creativity comes in all forms. When starting.
Go ahead.
Oh, no.
Well, I was going to say, like, one of my best friends, she like started off as a nurse, and then she graduated through management, and then during COVID, she's in Chicago area. In COVID, they had to find creative ways to serve more customers because they were just overwhelmed. But she's the first. She'll go. She listens to my podcast too. So, like I said, she's one of my best friends. So that's an obligation. Become a friend of mine. You got to listen to my podcast. Darn it. No, anyway. So, so she's like, I love your podcast. You got a lot of energy, but I'm just not creative. I'm like, yes, you are. Yeah. You're just not in the artistic kind of, because her husband, who's also one of my best friends, he's like crazy artistic dude. Like he paints, he writes, he's a musician. So he does all those. And so she looks at him and she thinks that's the image of creativity. And I'm like, oh no, you created all these relationships with people and processes, and you made it happen so you can support more people. And nothing against your husband, but that probably actually helped more people because he's not a rock star. although he wants to be one. Yeah.
He wants, he wants to be one. Everybody has dreams of being a rock star at some at.
Oh yeah, I did. That's actually how I
And
got
that's what I
here.
want to talk about. Yeah, because now you have a platform. You use your platform to encourage people to be creative. But you had your own
Yeah.
journey trying to figure out what that was for you. How did that all start? And how many pieces of the creative puzzle have you kind of placed in your own path?
Unfortunately, a lot of times creative outlets and escapes come from pain. So from sixth grade to senior in high school, I was abused, bullied, all that good stuff. And I say good sarcastically.
Got it.
And I had my Karate Kid moment in senior year, but we won't go into that, maybe later. But so from that, I just had to find an escape because, the good thing was in my primary home, my family, my mom, my dad, my siblings, none of that happened there, but it happened outside the house. And there's many reasons, bullies and abusers find reasons. And it's not my fault, but I didn't know that. I was a kid. So I just escaped through music. And so I picked up the guitar and just became really good at it and started writing songs, started being in bands and going, hey, I'd like to make a life of this. And then near the end of my high school career, after my Karate Kid moment, the band I was in, we go, yeah, let's not go to college. Let's take 2 years and try to make it. And so, like most people know that went to college, most college start end of August, beginning of September. And then when the college accepts you, you actually have to reply and accept them so you can get in. I did not because I thought, oh, we're going to go for it. So anyways, late July, I'm in a band practice. And the guitarist goes to the drummer, hey, Nick, when you headed out to Purdue, which is a school in Indiana, we're in Chicago. He goes, yeah, I got to go. Like next week, I'm headed out. And then, so all other 3 members are like talking about going to college. And I'm like, hold on a second. I thought we said we're going to spend 2 years. We're not going to go to college. Like, oh yeah, we decided against that. I'm like, when are you going to tell me? And they're like, so this is end of July and they're going like in a week or 2 to college. And they're like, oh, we were going to tell you this meeting. Oh, well, thanks a lot. So then I had to scurry and, oh, okay, who accepted me? Who do I want to go to? And I got on University of Illinois. And having not really wanted to go to college, I'm like, oh, what's my major? Duh, duh. So for like first 4 or 5 years, that's right. It took me 7 years to get my bachelor. So the first 4 or 5 years, I was basically trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I started off like majoring in different facilities of music and decided, oh, that's for people who either want to be classical musicians or teachers. I want to be neither. So then I got really good grades my first couple of semesters, and I had good grades in high school and a good SAT, all that good stuff. So they University of Illinois had this program where you can design your own major. So I go, oh, I'm going to design musical engineering. So it's a combination of acoustic classes and music and stuff to become a recording engineer.
Yeah.
And it made it no fun. It made music no fun. So I got out of that after a year. And then I went through, I don't know how many, probably 20 majors, and then settled on electrical engineering. And and it was a weird way how I came to electrical engineering. Basically, I go, if I don't stick to a major, I'm not going to graduate. It's going to be a waste of time. And so I said, whatever this school, University of Illinois Champaign, is best at, I'll get a degree in that. And it was happened to be electrical engineering. That year I researched, it was number 1 in the professor. There's like 5 polls that rate colleges, and University of Illinois is 1 or 2 switching off with MIT for electrical engineering and all 5 polls. So I go, oh, okay. And then, as most people don't know, and you can't be, at least at universities, you basically go to college, take all the basics, and then when you're going into your junior year, you apply to the college and major you want. So since it was the best in the country, it's very competitive. I didn't know any of this. I just said, whatever it's the best in, kind of like at a bar, throw a dart, put your decisions on the dartboard. Whatever the dart hits, I'm going to do. And so I picked electrical engineering and got in. And then an interesting thing happened. My first semester in electrical engineering, I noticed there were several people who did not get in who didn't like me. They're like, we spent our entire high school career taking calculus, physics, engineering, AP courses just so we can come to University of Illinois and get into engineering school. And we didn't get in. And you didn't even know what an engineer was when you were a senior in high school. I'm like, how did you know? And then you're in. So anyway. And then I started a path where I got my engineering degree. I went to Boeing. I was an engineer. Did a couple of projects, and I did very well at them. And this military airplane had like 6 systems in it. So they gave me one system, and I was the head engineer, actually the only engineer for that system. And in about 6 weeks' time, I got it all locked down, had all the designs, did all the testing. It was good to go. And then the president of BMAC, it was called at that time, Boeing Military Airplane Corporation, I think, or company. Anyways, he came to me and goes, hey, Mark, you did a good job on the system 1. How would you like to take system 2? And I go, great. Who do I give system 1 to? And he's like, you don't. So anyways, this pattern over the next year and a half continued until I was the head of all 6 systems.
Wow.
And I don't know, I'm okay with people, but I didn't know how to manage a project. I didn't know how to manage people. And basically that's what you got to do when you're that guy or that woman. And I'm like, oh, crap. So then I started, all right, I need to do program management. I don't know. And then I started feeling my way through that. And then I went to the commercial side and got into Lean and Six Sigma. So then I did that, and that was fun. Then I started training people. And so I just had a lot of careers and a lot of fun. And then and by the way, parallel to this, at all times, I've been playing my guitar, writing, and doing all the artsy creative. That's what I call it for now. Artsy creative, not just creative, because creative encompasses everything. Yeah. And so, and now, full circle, I'm like an expert in Lean, Six Sigma, program management, and that's pretty much what I do now in the corporate life, because I haven't got out of that yet, although I'm hoping very soon we'll be gone. 2 or 3 years, and I'm done. And then focus completely on the music stuff. So I'm learning animation, and I don't know if you ever heard of Gorillaz. I don't know if I went over this last time. So Gorillaz is they're an animated pop group. They were big, like maybe 6-7 years ago, I think. It's actually pretty funny because I saw this interview with one of the composers behind them, and they were interviewing like, I can't remember what their hit song was because I never really liked them, but I like the concept of it, and we'll get to that in a second. But so the interviewer's like, how did you come up with the bass line for your number 1 hit? He's like, oh, and then he goes to his keyboard, which was like a Casio or something, and he's like, he presses the button, it's bass pattern number 1. So he didn't even write it. It was like already on the, So sometimes people do that. Anyways, they were an animated band, so no one knew who the band members was. They had 2 or 3 hit albums. And so I'm going to release my music because, as you can see, I'm older. I have short gray hair. I'm not very rock starish anymore. So Inky Black, once again, Inky Black Design, it helped me design this, helped me design my characters. And so I'm learning animation. And so in Adobe Creative Suite, I'm going to do Animator and Illustrator, and we're going to rig the things. And so we'll do my songs, but it'll be the band. I'll do videos with the band, the animated band.
It seems like all of the little pieces the puzzle that I was talking about earlier, they kind of are starting to, you're putting them all together, but you're forming what it is you want to do with all of those little talents and all of that. Where does your podcast come in all of that? Where does that fall in your scope of what's next and what's current?
Oh, well, hopefully I do that till I die, and I don't plan on dying for a while. But it's called the Crackin Lab Podcast. So it's all about like the person helping with me. So we're doing it in seasons, and season 3 is kind of a wash because I haven't recorded an episode for about a month, and because we moved across country, it's just a big mess. But I'll get back to it. So season 1 was just introducing the concept of what is the creative cracking, which I kind of went into earlier in the show, and then season 2 is kind of like, okay, now I also got this earlier. I believe that unless you are creating, it's very difficult to have a rich and fulfilled life. So it's only when you're releasing your creative Kraken, when you're creating in your lane, what makes you tick when you're creating, that's where you find purpose, you find full, you get in the flow. And so the whole show is all about that. And I have guests, which you will be one when you sign up, mister.
Yes, I
We
will.
talk about who are successful in their life and they found their lane, and just talk about their creative process and how they got into it. So people can, and I want not just the creatives, like the artists' creativity, I want from all walks of life. So people can go, oh, that guy's a car mechanic. I'm a car mechanic. I get it. And by the way, one of the most creative people I know, the reason I brought that up, is a car mechanic. The guy is like a genius.
Oh, wow.
Although he inherited some failed health issues, and but so he has like really high. I can't remember what it's called, but it's really thick blood, and it has nothing to do with cholesterol or his diet. It's just like inherited, and he also has really high blood pressure, and so it came to a critical point where, like, he worked for a large auto dealer as the head mechanic dude of the garage in Chicago, and then they basically said, dude, you got to take like a month, a year off because we don't want to kill you. So what does he do? So he has a large yard in Elgin, and he just gets all people, and so it's filled with cars. I'm sure his neighbors love him, but he just works on all these cars, and he finds out like just real creative ways. Like when I last used him, I had a really old Volvo 164E, and so something was wrong with the fuel injection. So what did he do? He had access to really high octane called rocket fuel. And instead of the kit that Volvo used or whatever, I'm not going to explain it right because I'm not a mechanic. But anyways, he basically blew rocket fuel through the fuel injection system and cleaned it out, and it worked perfect. So he's super creative. Like, he does stuff like that. It's like, there's this kit, and this kit, it's from Mercedes, and it costs like $5,000. But I could do the same thing for like, it's like MacGyver or mechanics with this bobby pin and some lighter fluid. Anyway,
Oh my gosh.
so my whole thing is to have people find that, to move towards that, because I think that really is the secret to being a rich and fulfilled life. It's not about money, although a lot of people that find their niche, then they're so locked in that they just make money it's almost like a consequence, not a focus. Obviously, there's greedy people out there that's their main focus. Money, 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 money. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, I think there's a book called Do What You Love and the Money Will Follow. I don't agree with that. I think it's do what you're good at until you learn to love it, and then you'll make money. Because I think people have natural talents. And sometimes we go, man, I don't like my natural talent. It's like, wow, you're messing up. That's a natural talent. Leverage that, because you could do that easily. You can like get in the flow. So just use it. And if you don't like how people normally apply it, use it in a way like something you're into, and then learn to like it. It's like, oh, yeah.
Would you say that's would you say that's what you did? Because a lot of people having
oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did, but I took like a long walk around the block. I mean, I've been.
You took the scenic route. Absolutely.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've been in industry almost 40 years, and so it took me a while. I'd say, if I had to make a guess, I would say close to 2 decades was my walk around the block. I was still doing stuff I liked, and getting jazzed about life. But it's like it was like my aha moments, like, wow, did I make it so hard on myself? That's so natural. I've been doing that since a kid.
Yeah.
And I love it now, but for some reason I'm like, I think it was outside voices. No, that's not how you succeed. That's not right. That's not how engineers do engineering. It's like, that's how I do it. So find your own way.
Find your own way. A lot of people listening to your story and all of kind of like the stepping stones to keep it moving, there are some people that would just become complacent. It was like, well, I hate it, I love it, but I hate it, I don't love it, but I'm here. So I'm stuck here. But there was something about I'm not going to be stuck here. I'm going to go do this. I don't like this one
Right.
either. And I'm going to, what do you think was different about your perspective than the perspective of somebody who may just get stuck and just say, this is all there is? Why were you different?
So I would say the first turning point was circumstances. So I think I was at Boeing 7 years, and then they had a big layoff. So aerospace kind of goes up and down. And at that time, weirdly enough, electrical engineers were not in demand. And so I
Weird.
looked at the market and I said, okay, what's in, almost like I did with the my major. I go, okay, what's big in the market? And then this is way before, like you go on LinkedIn and everybody's going, you got to pivot. You got to have, what do they call it? What's the one you translate skills into something else? I can't remember what they call it. What is that called? Transferable. So yeah, transferable skills. So everybody talks about transferable skills and pivoting and blah, blah. Well, none of that was around when this happened, when I got laid off. But I kind of looked at the market and I'm like, IT was coming big then. I mean, we're talking early 90s. So Microsoft was just coming into prowess, as was Apple. And then, people were all scared of technology. And it's like, hey, look at the biggest job market on the face of the planet right now. It's all different aspects of IT. That did not even exist 10 years ago. 10 years ago, it was like all mainframe guys and doing AS400 and machine language. And now it's like any Joe who doesn't even have to go to college. Like, I'm just a coder and I just learned by hacking. Yeah, I was working on my Atari and I didn't like the game, so I modified it. Stuff like that. I thought, I'm going to reconfigure myself into IT. And so I don't know how I came up with this, but I'm like, there's this thing that was really hot. It was like solution architect, enterprise architect. So I took all my skills, rewrote my resume and transferable skills, and then packaged it. Never had this job title before in my life, by the way, as an enterprise architect. And I scored a job at like twice the salary I was making at Boeing. And that I've been making that salary up and above since then. It was really weird. So it was happenstance. And then my reaction was like, I like to eat, as obvious. So it's like I got laid off. It's like, hey, I need to make some money. I mean, I could go back to rock stardom or, that path. And that's a long and hard path. And not everybody, 1 out of a million makes it. So I like to eat. So I reconfigured myself an enterprise architect. Then I got back into music because there's a weird relationship. Like almost I'll say 90% of the IT people I've ever worked with are into music too. So whether it's enjoyment, like they go to concerts or they play an instrument or they record or they produce, I don't understand the connection, but it's there. And so then I started getting back big time into music. I mean, it never left me, but we're talking like as a casual, there's my guitar. I haven't touched it in 2 weeks. And then I play it. I have to play every day. I'm going to write 2 to 3 songs every week. I'm going to record, that. And I've been doing that ever since. So I don't know. I don't know what's different about me. Plus I have ADD, so I think that helps.
That might work. Yeah.
I'm bored.
I know when people have stories, and you hear a lot of stories too, there's always something that's different, about them. And what I find is that when people listen and they're trying to make decisions, they may not be like this person, they may not be like that person, but there's something about somebody's story that's like, aha, I never tried that.
Oh yeah.
That I got inspiration from that. I know with having a lot of different talents, sometimes that can be sort of a trap too, because you're not isolated to just having to put all of your eggs into one basket. Even though you have learned skills, there's some things that you just naturally gravitate to doing. So.
Yeah. And that, I think that's what your show's about. And that's actually at the core of my show is to not only figure out what you're good at, what's your natural talents, release your creative Kraken, get in the flow. You're going to succeed if you do those sort of things. And then when you succeed, share your freaking story to inspire others. Because you have no idea. And I'm not being arrogant here, but I write pretty well, tell good stories. I have an okay sense of humor. But I believe on LinkedIn that when people read my stuff, I've actually inspired people. And I only have like 2,800 followers, but so, nobody's ever told me that, but that doesn't stop me. It's like, I'm going to keep telling my story because I know somewhere out there I threw a pebble in the ocean and that ripple hit somebody. And I just I don't care to know. It doesn't matter to me. It's not like, oh, I inspired Philip. Oh, and I'm great. No, it's like, that's your job when you're successful, is to share your story, share your struggles, and then people can go, oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I believe that. I believe that. So what's
I think
next?
this show is all about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting. We're doing the same thing, but we're not doing the same thing. Yeah.
That's true.
It's really awesome. And that's the beauty, I think, of humanity. There's so many things in common. There's so many things that are similar, but there's so many things that are dissimilar that are kind of, they draw different people, different crowds, different people with different, experiences. And that's the awesome part.
Well, I think you and I are generalists of inspiration. Okay. And so what I mean by that is there's too many coaches out there that they did things in a very specific way and there's nothing wrong with this, although it kind of sounds like I'm judging them. And I am. But so they have a very specific process. They did things in a very specific way, and they coach other people without listening, without getting to know them or whatever, and go, here's what I did, do this, and you'll be successful. Guess what? If I acted like, and nothing against Gary Vee, I follow him, it's very interesting. But if I did what Gary Vee did, I wouldn't be successful because I'm not Gary Vee. I don't like the same things he does. I don't have the same talents. I don't have the same personality. I don't have the same drive. But you and I are generous, and we like more shotgun. It's like, hey, get out there, go find your niche, go do it your way, and I can help encourage you along the way, which eventually that's what I want to do. I want to coach and mentor professionally. I mean, I've done it in the past, but and the cool thing is when I retire from corporate, not going to put that out there. I was going to say, when I retire from corporate America, I'll be fairly comfortable, and so I will charge less. I'm not going to put that out there. I should charge what I'm worth, because that's a weird thing too. So people, if you give something to people for free, even though it could be like really valuable, they see it as no value. So I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. There's a whole, me being in marketing, I know 100%. There's a whole kind of thought process and strategy about how people perceive things that they don't have to work or pay for. How they treat them. And it's like, if you got it for free, generally you treat it like it was free.
Right. Well, and then there's the people, I call them the LinkedIn users, or no, users on LinkedIn, because I'm a LinkedIn user technically, but no, users on LinkedIn. And those are the people who follow your journey, and then they think they're your friend. And they think as a friend, they part of friendship is you're going to give your product or service to them for free because you're friends. It's like, well, guess what? You're not my friend then, because all my friends would listen to my podcast or pay for it if it showed value and all that kind of stuff. So you're not my friend. Yeah. And I've actually dropped followers for that. I mean, I'd probably be I said I was like over 2,800. I'd probably be like 3,100 if I didn't drop those. But anyway.
It's the value. It's like, if it's not bringing you value, if it's not getting to your core need, and your need is to be able to share and to help encourage and to grow. And if it's not meeting that because they have a different, which is just to pull value, then sometimes you have to rearrange the organization or the relationship. Relationship. Shout out to LinkedIn again for connecting people, connecting the world. One.
Oh yeah. Oh, and by the way, Uncle Mark is going to give you a little advice. So for these people that connect to someone, so a lot of times I have no idea how they got my name or whatever, but they connect and I like read their thing. Oh, they posted. Oh, they got interesting stuff. And then I go, okay, sure, I'll connect. And then their first post is, it always goes like this. And I always I go, oh crap. So I go, hi, Mark, how are you? Like immediately after me accepting their thing. It's like, I'm good. How are you? They never answer the question, by the way. That's another sign. It's like, yeah, I work in blah, blah, blah. And I was wondering, and they go right into a sales pitch and they don't know me from Adam. It's like, wow, I've never used that service before in my life. I will never need it. You don't know me at all. Why would I do business with you? So anyway, don't do that. Relationships, get to know people, and only offers them something when you believe it has a value for them.
Yeah, it's that personal connection. And if you don't know how to do that, then there's enough resources out there for you to fake it very well. So,
oh yeah, but I mean, people don't even try; they just go right to the pitch.
Yeah.
I think I blame like the funnel technique, even though when I was in sales, I used the funnel technique. I think that's a case of what I talked about before. So there's several people, and I have a lot of their books, who were very successful with the sales funnel technique and the blue ocean and the red ocean and finding your niche and all that. And that worked for them. And then they built it up, this product or service like that. And it doesn't work for hardly anybody because it's what they did and everybody's different. So what they do is people follow that. It's like, you missed it though, because the Nicks and the other people that were good at funneling, they might not even express this, but they actually got to know the people first. They didn't try to sell people or force something down someone's throat when they didn't even have any relationship with them. Yeah. But I think that's missing from a lot of that stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry for the diatribe.
Well, people today got a really good lesson in be creative, be authentic, and this is how you market. Yeah. Well, Mark, thank you.
Oh, it's over already?
It's over already. I know. Right. So thank you for being here. Stick around because I'm going to come back and we're going to chat just a little bit. But I just want to say thank you for taking the time out again. I know your schedule is busy, and here we are recording once again. But I'm so excited about it. I know, right? Because
I've done PHILLIP Show 5 times, and it hasn't been aired once. No.
That's funny. Well, this one will air. Okay. This will make it to the cutting floor. So hold on. I'll be right back after these messages. Everybody, that is Mark Bentcover with Release Your Inner Kraken. I will see you next time here on The PHILLIP Show. Don't